Tonight on Currents News, emergency action to protect nursing home residents from the coronavirus. But is it coming too late?
There's so much damage that's been done, and I don't know that anything could reverse that.
New York City could start reopening in June as long as progress against the outbreak stays strong. This while dozens of city kids are sick with a rare illness that could be linked to the pandemic. Plus, the power of love overcomes the outbreak of the disease. The first marriage celebrated in Brooklyn in months. And it is different this time. Campaigning for the White House is going down as the most unusual in history.
He must, in some way, shape, or form, express empathy and compassion, and it's difficult to do so when you have a pandemic.
Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. Patients in New York's hospitals must now test negative for COVID-19 before they can be discharged to nursing homes. That's a new mandate by Governor Andrew Cuomo and an about-face of a policy that forced 6 seniors into facilities housing the most vulnerable. But are these potentially life-saving actions coming too late? Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the story.
More than 5,200 nursing home residents across New York State have died from coronavirus. Bianca Carrazzo's 72-year-old father was one of them.
I had no idea that they were closing their doors to visitors but opening their doors to residents that were potentially, I had no idea.
She never got to say goodbye. In March, the state health department began limiting visitations, but requiring nursing homes to accept and readmit recovering patients, even if they were still positive. That's when Bianca thinks her father got sick in his Nassau County facility.
No, you don't want to walk a virus into a nursing home that could kill the person you're going to visit.
A problematic mandate Governor Cuomo partially reversed over the weekend. Now patients must test negative before they can be discharged to nursing homes, and all staff will be tested twice a week or lose their license. But Bianca says this is too little, too late.
On day 71 to say that there's so much damage that's been done, and I don't know that anything could reverse that.
She's not alone in her criticism. New York State Senate Republicans have called for an independent investigation into nursing home deaths. According to the latest figures from the Department of Health, 12% of the state's COVID-19 deaths have been nursing home residents. The virus has already likely killed more than 5% of all New York nursing home residents.
People in nursing homes and seniors, this is where this virus feeds. It's where this virus started.
The governor directed the Department of Health and the Attorney General's office in late April to begin investigating nursing homes for compliance with state directives. But many industry advocates have argued that those directives are constantly changing, leaving many families without closure.
I'll never know if he didn't get the care that he should have because everyone was overextended. I'll never know what really happened.
Bianca says her father was healthy before his nursing home was mandated to take COVID-positive patients. Now she's looking to advocate for him and every family in the same situation. Christine?
Jess, how does New York compare to the nursing home deaths in other states?
Yeah, as high as these numbers are, New York actually ranks 34th in terms of percentage of COVID-19 deaths that have been nursing home residents. West Virginia actually leads the list. 81% of their COVID-19 deaths have been nursing home residents.
Hopefully we'll see those numbers drop with these new regulations. Thanks, Jessica. Mayor Bill de Blasio is saying the reopening of New York City could start in June. He wants COVID-related hospitalizations and other factors to stay on a downward slope. He's pointing to the end of this month as decision time. And Governor Cuomo is restarting low-risk businesses and some recreation in the state on Friday. Included are landscaping and gardening, drive-in movie theaters, and outdoor recreational activities like tennis. And a recovery story from Queens. Hopes are high. An 8-year-old boy will be going home this week after being hospitalized from that rare mystery syndrome related to COVID-19. That's thanks to the quick work of Jaden Hardawar's brother. Jaden went into cardiac arrest over a week ago. His older brother, a Boy Scout whose troop regularly meets at Holy Child Jesus Church in Richmond Hills, performed CPR until ambulances arrived. Their father believes those scout skills saved Jaden's life. He's currently recovering at Cohen's Children's Hospital. His dad hopes he'll be released sometime this week. Jaden is one of several dozen city kids to come down with the rare illness. The victims are suffering from an inflammation of their blood vessels, which is causing problems for their hearts. So far, at least 3 children have died. The state is working with the CDC on the mysterious cases. Experts are stumped by the outbreak.
This is new data. We do not know exactly what it means or how to interpret it in the context yet of this epidemic.
Toddlers and elementary school age kids are most at risk. Parents are being warned to be on the lookout for high fevers and rashes and to get to the doctor quickly if symptoms occur. The race to get America back to work is sparking clashes between states across the country. Arguments are erupting over the best way to reopen businesses amid the COVID-19 pandemic that's still afflicting many places. At the same time, top members of the White House task force are going into quarantine. Karen Kafa has the story.
Welcome to Bristol, the birthplace of country music. This one town sits in 2 states, Tennessee and Virginia, 2 places with different schedules to reopen amid the COVID pandemic.
You have a restaurant who can look out the window, and 30 yards across the street, there are people walking into businesses, dining, shopping, and so that's a challenge.
Some business owners want states like Virginia to open on a regional basis. In Bristol, that would prevent restaurants on the same street from having different restrictions.
It's tough because I can see the Tennessee side. I can see them. So if there's a virus over there, it's over here.
In South Dakota,
have you traveled to or from an area reported of COVID-19 cases?
The Cheyenne River Sioux tribe feels the state is opening too soon. They set up checkpoints along highways meant to track the virus and stop the spread.
No fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath?
No, don't have any of those things.
South Dakota's governor demands these roadblocks come down, but the tribe refuses.
This virus doesn't travel. It's the people with the virus that travel.
In Washington, the clash between restarting economies and protecting health is on full display as President Trump presses more states to reopen. Top members of the administration's task force have gone into some form of quarantine, including the heads of the CDC, FDA, and the nation's top infectious disease specialist, Anthony Fauci. Now, staff is conducting contact tracing to determine how coronavirus got inside the White House. In Washington, Karen Kafa, Currents News.
Stay with us. Frank Cipolla will be here. He's a media expert talking about a presidential election campaign unlike any before. We'll look at the unique challenges facing the candidates and the news organizations covering them. That's still ahead in this newscast. And here are some more headlines. The coronavirus can enter the body through the eyes. That's what a team at Johns Hopkins University is finding. U.S. COVID patients and businesses are suing China, blaming them for the spread of the virus. Shanghai Disneyland reopened today with strict safety protocols and crowd limits in place. A love that is stronger than the coronavirus being celebrated in the Diocese of Brooklyn after a long wait.
Y Guillermo, que han recibido el matrimonio, un beso.
Father Israel Perez bestowed the sacrament of matrimony Sunday on the happy couple at the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph in Prospect Heights. They had planned for an Easter wedding that was put off by the outbreak. Although attendance at the ceremony was limited, the Mass was on the air live, broadcast over Net TV, New York's Catholic television station. There's a lot more news headed your way. If you want thousands of people in one place standing 6 feet apart to choose a Democratic nominee for president, you might need something gigantic. Plus, campaigning during a pandemic. It's caused some challenges, not only for the candidates, but also for the news media. We'll tell you how. And as calls for justice grow louder in Georgia, the feds are being asked to investigate a man's death.
Now you can help us put your faith in the news. The next time you capture a newsworthy event, send us your pictures or video. It's easy. Go to netny.tv/send us, and you may see your submission on Currents News.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants Democrats to go big when nominating a presidential candidate this summer. The convention is scheduled for mid-August in Milwaukee, but Pelosi is suggesting the Dems get, quote, a gigantic stadium and put people 6 feet apart. She's adding that instead of having 80,000 people attend, the crowd could be limited to 16,000 and have everything wrapped up in one day. Election Day is just 6 months away. The 2020 campaign may go down as the most unusual presidential race in American history, as it presents unique challenges to both the news media covering it and to the candidates themselves. With more than 40 years' experience as a TV and radio journalist and the founder of the media coaching company Contacts Media, Frank Cipolla joins us now to lend his perspective. And Frank, most people would probably agree that President Trump's re-election will be decided on the job he's doing with the pandemic and the economy. How would you rate him on these issues?
Well, absolutely right. And let me first thank you, Christine. I'm a fan of yours and Currents TV, so it's a pleasure to be here. You're absolutely right. People will judge him by how he is handling this pandemic. And I've said this before, if I were to rate him, and there's a long time between now and Election Day and plenty of time to recover, I would give him a C-. He must, in some way, shape, or form, express empathy and compassion, and it's difficult to do so when you have a pandemic.
Sure, and you know, those most at risk during this pandemic are seniors, and when the president won election, he got their votes. Now some polls suggest their support is wavering. How does he win them over for Election Day?
Well, under normal circumstances, what you would do is we would have some sort of memorial service, and the president would hug some of the family members and express that empathy and compassion in that fashion. It's very, very difficult in this environment when a president has to go out and use a press conference or a gaggle on his way to Marine One to try to express that empathy. That is the issue right here. He needs to be more empathetic and not use these opportunities for what I call an airing of his grievances. That's not what people want right now. I would, if I were handling his campaign, say you need to be more compassionate and empathetic right now, not yesterday, starting now.
Right. And, you know, we're hearing a lot more from the Obamas. They're getting press with the former president endorsing his former VP. And Michelle Obama is starring in a Netflix documentary, and they're considered media darlings. So how much power do they have in getting a Democrat back in the White House?
Oh, I think they have a tremendous amount of power. Look, it's not fair to rate a president unless he's out of office at least 20 years. I'm a bit of a presidential historian, but I would say he's probably in modern times one of the most popular presidents. Joe Biden needs him on several levels. He needs that blessing from the former president, which he has received already. He needs the African-American vote, which former President Obama can deliver. So, I mean, what they are doing and what they will do between now and then will be important. Again, under normal circumstances, we'd have some sort of a rally, and Obama would put his arm around Biden to express that he's with him. It's difficult, again, in a time of a pandemic.
Right, we're not going to see that happening. And the Biden campaign is dealing with something else, a sexual assault allegation that goes back to 1993 when Biden was a U.S. senator. How do you think he's been handling that so far?
Well, whether these accusations are true or false, and there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of discrepancies in the stories, I would say the thing that he is doing is correct. He's denying it. He says it never happened. And as I mentioned a moment ago, Christine, 6 months in a presidential year is a lifetime. We don't even know what happened a month ago. Can you even remember what happened a month ago? It's good to be in front of this, put it behind him. Unless somebody comes forward with a tape, a video, a photograph, or something, I think this is not an issue heading into the election.
All right, and in the 24-hour news cycle, there's a lot more opinion shows out there where certain news organizations seem to lean to one side of the aisle or the other. Is there such a thing as objective journalism anymore?
Yeah, you know, this is a question I get asked a lot. I told somebody yesterday, he said, what do you do for a living? I said I was a television reporter and anchor for 40 years. And first thing he said was fake news. Now, I abhor that expression. But putting that aside for a moment, I tell people, look, do not plop yourself in front of a television and listen to one side or the other. And essentially, it's commentary, Christine. It's really not news at times. A lot of it's commentary. I tell them to read. Get a couple of newspapers you really trust read through them, and decide for yourself, because a lot of these issues are complex and you just can't put them on a bumper sticker. I mean, you need to read about them. When I'm a bit confused, I read newspapers I trust and I determine what the answer might be in my own head. I don't sit down and listen to an echo chamber, whether it be left or right. I find out what the facts are and I decide.
All right, some good advice. Founder of the media coaching company Contacts Media and former journalist Frank Cipolla, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Christine. A pleasure.
The U.S. Department of Justice may now get involved in the investigation surrounding the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Family and friends honored the shooting victim, who would have turned 26 years old last week.
Thank you for your kindness, your love, your support.
This weekend, a celebration of Ahmaud Arbery's short life.
Those 3 men didn't respect his life, but it shows that you guys respect his life.
The 25-year-old was fatally shot on February 23rd near Brunswick, Georgia. Gregory McMichael and his son Travis are facing murder and aggravated assault charges. They have not commented on the case.
It's heartbreaking. It's 2020. And this was a lynching of an African-American man.
On Sunday, an open letter calling for swift justice was sent to Georgia officials by a group of musicians, including Jay-Z and Alicia Keys.
What I'm seeking is those guys, all guys that were involved in the murder of my son, to go to prison, possibly for the rest of their life.
Georgia's Attorney General Chris Carr is requesting the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the handling of the matter. Attorneys for the Arbery family released a statement saying they support a DOJ probe. And William Roddy Bryan, the man who took the video of the Arbery shooting, is cooperating with authorities, according to his lawyer.
It is grossly unfair and downright dangerous for Mr. Bryan and his family to suggest that he is somehow a part of what the McMichaels were doing that day.
Attorneys for Arbery's family have called for William Bryan's arrest. According to a police report, Greg McMichael told an investigator that Bryan was helping them chase Arbery, but Bryan's attorney denies that. Another lockdown in China after new cases of coronavirus have surfaced. Mainland China is reporting 17 new cases, 5 in Wuhan, the original epicenter of the outbreak. But 11 of those new cases are in Shulan City in northeast China, which is now once again under lockdown. No word how long it will last. The first major airline has filed for bankruptcy, citing the impact of the pandemic. Colombia-based airline Avianca is the second oldest airline in the world. 88% of the countries where it operates are under total or partial travel restrictions. Another effect of the coronavirus, President Trump is again postponing hearings for migrants in Mexico who are waiting for U.S. court dates. The Departments of Homeland Security and Justice say officials will reschedule the hearings scheduled through June 19th. We haven't been able to go to church for months in the Diocese of Brooklyn, and without people in the pews, collection baskets aren't being filled. It's a problem facing not only Catholic churches, but other faiths as well, all across the nation. Ki-Young La has the story from Los Angeles.
Where the spiritual look to God, it is the mortality of the pandemic that threatens their faith.
Now we ask that you help us in one of the most difficult periods of our church's history.
Coronavirus moved the congregation out.
God, be with us and bless us, God.
The service now virtual. Fewer than 10 people allowed inside this chapel.
Hallelujah!
Severely impacting the donation basket.
Amen.
It takes finances to cover those expenses that are necessary, all of the utilities, the mortgages.
The Grant AME Church in South LA is just one of the many houses of worship impacted around the world. In Vatican City, the Pope has delivered his message to a vacant square.
Thank you for everything that every one of you are doing.
In Tennessee, the pews are parking lots for the socially distanced faithful. Creative in the era of COVID, but not enough to cover the bills. The latest available data shows 40% of congregations had no savings.
This is what pain feels like.
Reverend Robert Lee leads the Unifor Church in Newton, North Carolina.
This is a make or break moment for communities of faith, and not only churches, but synagogues, mosques, all temples everywhere.
Hi,
This is Father Modesto.
Most churches rely on those who give in person.
Open the latch.
This priest walked his congregates through how to give with little contact.
Drop the envelope in the mail slot.
You're concerned?
Yes, yes.
It's hard not to be, says Grant AME member Wayne Bowen. He's giving as much as he can, but knows it's not enough.
10% of nothing what I make per month is nothing compared to what I've gained since I've been giving, and that's the truth.
Kyung Law, Los Angeles.
Still to come on Currents News.
From mountains to the prairie to the ocean.
Why hearing this COVID patient sing is so amazing. Also ahead, a sign of hope found on a Queens beach. We'll show you. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. An 84-year-old man's last words to his family left them in awe. Dying of coronavirus, he could not speak, but that didn't stop Tom McDermott, who once wanted to be a priest, from communicating with his loved ones. Adam Bagney has the amazing story from Massachusetts.
I don't know, but something happened.
Tom McDermott was a pretty amazing guy. He survived polio, nearly became a priest, even worked on nuclear submarines. But recently, the 84-year-old Alzheimer's patient contracted COVID-19. His family said their final goodbyes.
We weren't expecting that there was any he was on comfort measures and there was no expectation that he was communicating.
Tom's lungs were overwhelmed by the virus, so much so that his family says he never spoke again. Instead, he sang.
From mountains to the prairie to the ocean.
We just all ran in and was like, what? It's not something that's normal.
That's the part where we were all amazed about that.
The family was watching a mass dedicated to the McDermotts when the call came in from the hospital. His last words were carrying a tune.
Minutes after the mass ended, the phone rang from South Shore Hospital, and the nurses were on the phone saying, "You have to hear this. This is unbelievable." And in that condition, you barely have the energy to nod. I don't know where the memory to sing or the energy to sing the song came from.
Tom served in the Marines during the Korean War and was a devout Catholic, so the timing of it all certainly makes them wonder.
I don't think that was something that happened by chance.
When I think about his service and why that song, I don't know. So we had deep faith, and if there was anybody ready, and at peace, it was him. So.
God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America.
That story reported by Adam Bagney. Tom was laid to rest at St. Patrick's Cemetery in Massachusetts. His family will celebrate his life once churches are open again. And finally tonight, we mentioned that if you send us your videos or photos, you might see them on Currents News. Well, that's exactly what Joanne Oken did. She, along with her husband and daughter, came upon these painted seashells laid out in the shape of a cross and a heart. They were walking along the beach in the Neponset neighborhood of the Rockaways. Thank you for sending us this sign of hope from a beach in Queens. And please send us your videos or photos, just like Joanne and her family did, and you may see them right here on Currents News. Send your submissions to netny.tv/send us, and always stay tuned to Currents News. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time. Good night.